thought I was going to miss an edition of the Friday Face-Off. I'm back. Good to be here. Friday Face-Off on WDFN.com and our sister station, the DRocks.com. It's Eric Chase. It's Matt Shepard from Shep in the Morning. It's the MVP, Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers.
How about that, huh? Good for him.
Deserving.
Yeah, deserving. I wouldn't have had a problem. You and I have talked about this before. I would not have had a problem if they voted Mike Trout. I believed Miguel Cabrera deserved it. It's too bad in our society that we can't have some type of debate without failing to hear the other side of the argument. In this situation, it's as good an argument as you can make for the new sabermetric system compared to the old, let me just use the eye test and see what those three important categories may be. My issue has always been this. Too many people are making their point by downgrading or diminishing what the other candidate did, and that's unfair to both.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I think I was the first person to get in on this, like in the middle of summer, saying this is going to be pretty intense, and I was really on board with Trout. And to me, you know, I'm a fan, an advocate of advanced statistics. If you've got the information, use it, interpret it correctly, and use it responsibly. But it's pretty obvious. The easiest stat for me, where I can be very happy with Miguel Cabrera winning it, he hit like 344 the final 2 months of the season, and Mike Trout only hit 280. Cabrera won it when the games mattered more to his team. And the problem that I had was listening to...
First of all, let me just step in for a second. I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think the games mattered more at the end. We assume that they do, but the Angels, I would bet you talk to anybody, where did you feel you lost it? And they would say, we probably lost it in April when we went 8-15. So those games matter just as much. Let's not get caught up.
Wait, they're games at the end of the season, I mean.
No, I understand that, but the Angels had one of the best records in all of baseball at the end of the season. That was important. They lost it at the beginning. Mike Trout was not there. They were 8-15 without him. Do we know he would have made a 4-game difference so they would have been able to leapfrog Baltimore for the second wild card spot? I don't know that.
Well, I don't care. To me, it matters very, very little that Miguel Cabrera got his team to the playoffs or that his team went to the playoffs. To me,
I think that's a big reason he won.
Oh, I think so, very superficially. Okay. But if neither if neither got to the playoffs, I think Miguel Cabrera playing better than Trout did in those games that to me mattered more than the end of the season is what ultimately got him the award.
Why? I guess I'm confused, and we shouldn't go this route, but why are they more important at the end of the season?
Because both teams stumbled and scuffled and trudged their way along the Tigers were married to 500 through the first 70% of the season, and the Angels were, trying to pick themselves off their face in April.
Right, and the Angels had more wins and they played tougher competition, supposedly. But I'm telling you right now, that 8-15 start is what killed them. And it's happened in numerous sports, and we just get caught up in cliches thinking the games at the end of the year are more important. When you play in 162 games, not that we want to jump to too many conclusions, if the Angels are even 500, they're in the playoffs in April. We saw what they could do toward the end. We saw how good they could be. Those games at the beginning were really important. But I hear what you're saying. Miguel Cabrera down the stretch was really good. Mike Trout struck out 32 times in September, batted .257 in September, and yet his team was still winning. He didn't step forward with his personal statistics like Miguel Cabrera did.
Part of the reason that Torrey Hunter got $26 million here is because he was arguably the guy that carried the Angels along with the pitching staff in September. And because Trout, it wasn't him, so that kind of diminished his candidacy.
Albert Pujols too.
But the problem that really got under my skin is, and I get it, it's civic pride, and maybe if we went 100 miles east or west, people would be a little more objective. Listening to some of our callers, reading some of the comments on our Facebook page, you would be appalled that Mike Trout is even in the major leagues, let alone a very viable candidate against Miguel Cabrera. I stand by my statement back in the summertime. There was no wrong answer in this.
I agree.
One guy happened to win it when things were really tight and tense.
I had a call this morning where somebody actually said, let's see if Mike Trout can do this again. That's not the point. The point is it's based on a year. It's the same thing with the Heisman. It doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a senior, and in the pros at the Major League Baseball level and the most valuable player, it doesn't matter whether you've been there 1 year or 15 years. What happens that one particular season? You can make great arguments on both sides. And when a guy hits 30 bombs, swipes 45 bags, and scores 125 runs, and it's never been done in baseball history, he belongs in the conversation. Civic pride aside, if you wouldn't want Mike Trout on your baseball team, you don't know baseball.
I agree. And he was handcuffed by some things, and Miguel Cabrera was handcuffed by some things. I'm a little surprised that it was as big a gap as it was, but that proved to me, because I thought it would be pretty darn close. And I said to myself, boy, the writers, they want to show that they're smarter than everybody, so they're going to go with the new statistics. I learned last night that never try to get inside the heads. I feel like a woman. Never try to get inside the heads of 28 different men or 14 different men, because it's just too hard to predict it. John Lowe's vote has me scratching my head.
What? That Ibanez received one of his top 10 votes, the 10th? And
Jim Johnson got a third place vote.
And then, listen, somebody else put Adrian Beltre a second place vote.
Yeah.
So there are some. Listen, Ben Zobrist received a vote from somebody, and that person did not vote David Price. They didn't vote somebody. What's that?
Rodney.
Yeah, Fernando Rodney in that conversation. They voted Ben Zobrist.
I'm okay with that because Zobrist, when Longoria was out all season, they moved him around. They finally said, oh, we got a shortstop. They put him at short, which they've never had. So I'm okay with that.
But if you're going to put Verlander in that top 10 discussion, how do you not put the Cy Young Award winner or the guy who set the all-time record for lowest ERA by a save?
Another quick question before we wrap up. Again, to congratulate Miguel Cabrera. One of the writers I follow is, as I follow the Rays, Mark Topkin from he's from the Tampa area. He writes, he advocates for them. He had Fernando Rodney on his MVP ballot, but not David Price. And I don't know how he voted for the Cy Young Award. And there's a difference to me.
He may not have. He may not have voted. Not everybody who voted for the Cy Young voted for the MVP.
Right. And to me, that's a whole argument of, is Cy Young the most valuable pitcher or the best pitcher? But right. I even have a hard time believing that Fernando Rodney was the most valuable pitcher on that staff. It's just so mind-boggling.
But it's fun to discuss.
It is.
And we're fortunate that we've been able to keep it alive as long as we have.
And to make all of our audience happy, maybe Mike Trout will get sent down in the offseason, and he can be back where he belongs, so says you guys. Thanks for being here. Friday Face-Off, WDFN.com.